Brenda Smith, and I am author of several books. My first book was Insane Circumstances, and it turned into a series, the Circumstances series. And when I wrote this book, this was just my intention, was just to do one book, okay? And as I considered writing, I was telling my husband, I said, now, you know, I'm going to do this book. You know, I've got this in me, and I've got to get it out of me. Okay, I had to birth it. I couldn't keep this story. It was a story about a country girl who attended a recently integrated college and talks about circumstances she was in while there. And every time she had what she called an insane circumstance, a taxi driver appeared. And soon it was apparent that it wasn't just her story, but his story and their story too. And it went from there. It went from insane circumstances to unforeseen circumstances when Brandy and her TJ had matured, had married, and he faced illness, which was what they call unforeseen circumstances. And then on to Extreme. And Extreme was a story of when these two protagonists were old, you know, and cruising along in life, supposedly unencumbered, but they find themselves supporting a family member who's in an abusive relationship. So that was this story. And as I said, I was gonna just do it. And I told my husband, I said, now I'm not gonna write a book and hawk books out of the back of my car. I am not going to do that. I was going to, you know, I was dreaming. I was gonna send out those query letters. I was gonna find somebody to pick up my book. You know, I was going to do all these things. And it just didn't happen that way. And once I had it, I said, now how in the world am I going to get this book out there, you know, and get it in people's hands? And that set me on this mission or vision that I needed to go out and participate in events and festivals, you know, to show my work, to encourage others to write and to show their works. And so that's what Insane Circumstances did for me. It brought me here today. It brought me here today talking with something that I never, ever, ever thought about doing. We went to, my husband, he is here with me today, and his job in this enterprise is driving Miss Daisy. And he has been faithful. He carried me to California, and I pitched this idea for a movie. I was unsuccessful, but I do have that as part of my resume. That Robert Kawasaki and we had a talk about this. And that, you know, I just missed it by a head. That's okay, I had that experience. I attended, took me to Houston. We attended a National Black Book Festival in Houston. Then on to Memphis to a book festival, and then to Louisiana to do a book festival. And while we were rolling, we would be talking about these events, and I'd always say, well, I know one thing. I ain't gonna do all that work. I wouldn't do all of that work. Never say never. Never say never. In 2015, we were talking books and considering what we wanted to do for the year, because we sort of plan our year. And we plan to do some things for pleasure. We plan to do some things related to my literary efforts and his support thereof. And in 2015, I believe it was 2014 late, we decided that we weren't going to go out. that instead of going out, let's invite some of all of those people that we had met as we had traveled to come to Valdosta for a book festival. And initially, we thought about September. And because September, as I alluded to earlier in an earlier discussion, that was September 9th is International Literacy Day, and UNESCO started it, and it was to support literacy in communities all over the world. And so I kind of wanted to do it then. Well, it didn't work out that way. And what I'm leading to is how flexible we have to be in these processes. It doesn't always work out like you want it to work out. It didn't work out that way because I had met two ladies, Victoria Christopher Murray and Rashonda Tate Billingsley in Texas, and later tuned into a radio show and chatted on a radio show with them, asking if they had ever been to Valdosta, South Georgia, and they said no. I said, well, if I have a book event, will you come? They said, sure. You know, contact our publicist. You know, and that was all I got. Well, anyway, I went on internet and I found publicists. I invited them to come to Valdosta. They couldn't come in September because one had a September the 7th birthday and the other had a September the 8th birthday. Okay, there went my idea of having an event, you know, at the same time that you have an international effort. But they could come in May. Okay. Consequently, we had one in May. We had a literacy festival in May in Valdosta. And I bought a copy of some pictures. I've got a little picture book there for you to pass around so you can just sort of get a visual picture of what it was like. I count it successful because it exceeded even my smallest imagination. We ended up with 40 authors. And it was 40 because that was the only thing that they would give us. The Comfort Center in Valdosta could only give us 40 tables. Okay? So we ended up with 40 full tables. And like I said, just an awesome event. We had in conjunction with that, we had a workshop on Friday. You know, we had our featured authors, which included Rashonda and Victoria, and then we had a couple of others who were authors that published with Snake Nation Press, which is a local company in Valdosta. And then we had a Georgia author, Kendra Norman Holmes. So we had a workshop in the afternoon, on that Friday afternoon of our weekend festival. We had a room full of people. We had 60 people to attend a workshop at 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. That's what our, and Victoria and Rashonda, they came, you know, to present, but they didn't present what they would have had they known that we were going to have a group that large. They said that doesn't happen. They travel all over the country. That doesn't happen that you have that many people in a workshop on a Friday. And I think as we move along, you will see why that happened, you know. And we had evening. We had a Meet the Authors reception that was well attended. Our city officials came and gave us a proclamation. On Saturday, we had a successful event. We had, and this may seem small to you, but it was exceedingly large. And And I'm going to tell you, it was exceedingly large because we travel and we know how many authors come, and we know how few people come to the festivals, make purchases, and support the authors, okay? We know that. I was looking, I counted. We had 350 people to pass through there and purchase books. Our featured authors sold out of books, okay? Sold out of books. We had a young lady from South Carolina by 12 o'clock. She had to go home. She didn't have any more books. Another lady from Atlanta. Okay. How did that happen? Okay. What made it so successful? Well, I think that it was successful because we invested ourselves into the whole process. You cannot put on an event and expect it to just happen, okay? You know, you can collect some money, but for people to feel good about making the investment that they have to make to participate in your event, you know, you have to do some things too. But when planning events, the first thing that you need to do is you need to know what you want to have, okay? What are you having? Is this a festival for profit? Is it for your personal gain? Because people do that. You know, this is their job, okay? Gwen Richardson does hers in Houston. She's done it every year for 9 or 10 years. Okay, she makes money off of that. And I want you to go onto her website. It's National Black Book NBBF. And check out her registration materials, and you'll see how she makes money on that event. Okay?
What is that address again? National Black Books?
NBBF. But she actually makes money on that festival, okay, as does Sheila Lipsy over in Memphis. So you have to determine what it is. You want to do that for profit? Do you want to do it for just fun? Okay, just for your personal gratification, just to support other people? I did. You know, I didn't really care if I had any money left over or anything like that. Okay, that wasn't my purpose. Are you doing it to support literacy in your community? Well, it turned out that I did that more than I anticipated, because like I said, initially we just weren't going to go out in 2015. We were just going to have some people to come to Valdosta. Okay, but once you get into it, your vision enlarges, you know, your commitment to your community enlarges. So know what it is that you want to have. And I've heard you all talking a bit about fundraising today, but you're onto something. You have to have some seed money. You know, it just doesn't just happen. And what we determined, the two of us, is that we were going to seed that effort. And then we were going to reimburse ourselves once registration money started coming in. That's what we determined, okay? Now, you are a group. A group can do the same thing. You know that this is your effort. You know that you're going to have a table. Why can't you pay your pre-registration fees early? I'm a part of you. I pay my $125, $150, whatever your fee. I would just go ahead on and pay it. And that's how you get going. You got to do that, okay? Because while you may be thinking about some fundraising, you know, you still gotta have a little nesty somewhere and somehow. And so you just have to make that personal commitment, you know, to do that. Another thing that we did was we did sponsorships. And I said, now, you know I got enough family members and I got enough friends, and I'm always helping people out, you know. Some of these people ought to help me out. And I sent a sponsorship letter. Sent it out to, just like I said, those folks, all them doctors we go to, okay? And when you do a sponsorship, then you're saying, well, hey, I need you to help me right here up front. And then tell them what you're going to give them for it, because you do have to give something back. You know, I said, you know, if you help me with this, then I'm going to invite you to that reception, okay? And we had a nice reception, had nice meal, nice desserts. A lot of them didn't come, but that was good enough, okay? And I think we also set a souvenir booklet. And you all saw we did a souvenir paper. So they were all right with that. And you would be surprised how many and how fast they came in. I also told them that at the end, you know, I told you we didn't want the money, we did it for, you know, we did it for pleasure. That we were going to return that money back to the community some kind of way. We found some people who would work with us on a committee. We invited different people. Again, I had to be my brothers and sisters, and, you know, make them come along, you know. But we had a committee. And they also, our committee members bought into it, and they went on ahead and did a sponsorship. And so that was how we initially had some funds to come in through the sponsorships, and by giving something back to them. We advertised their businesses to a degree, not anything extensive, you know, in our souvenir. And then the next way we thought about funding was through registration fees. And I made a note here to keep costs manageable, because self-published authors, you know, like myself, we had 5 books. You know, we spent $1,000 or more getting to California. Selling our books out there. Okay? We spent probably about another 800 or so get to Houston. We didn't sell our books. Okay? But we met some people, we had some fun. Okay? And then some other places we've gone, we've expended a little bit of money, and I might be the only person selling that day. You know, you just never know. This book business is, you know, it's a challenge. It's not like selling fish sandwiches. You know, people get immediate gratification. You know, they get something good to eat or whatever. So, you know, you have to invest quite a bit. So we did $125 and 150 late fees, because, like I said, you know, some of those things you got to pay for your table, then you got to turn around and pay to be advertised on the website, then you got to pay to be this and that, and you could spend $400 or $500 in fees before you actually just get a table. So just, I ask that, you know, keep it manageable, because those people, they come, they have to pay their hotel, they have to pay their travel and all of that. Okay, another thing, you know, you do a bit of research about anything that you do. We all do that, because writers do that. You know, we have to do research. So just know the basics of event planning, and I met with your committee earlier, and we talked about some things in Valdosta about timelines and adhering to timelines. And when you have a group your size, then you need to find something for everybody to do, define roles. And this is something I had a problem with. Stay in your lane. I had a problem with that, okay? And I had a problem because I was the visionary, okay? And every now and then they would have to put me in check when I do door prizes. Lord, I done had enough. I didn't want to do no door prizes, you know. And then the Spirit said, you know what? You ain't got to do no door prizes. She said, she wanted to do door prizes. Let her do door prizes. And y'all that were there, you saw the results. Those were door prizes. You know, she had a big old movie thing, popcorn and candy and just a whole basket of movie stuff. She gave away a TV, you know, just all kinds of things. So, you know, if I had just kept my little self interfering in her business, we wouldn't have had that. So just remember that others in the group, you know, they have talents and they have skills that they can use to make it successful. So don't be, you know, so, you know, judgmental and think that you have it all, you know, that you know it all, that you can do it all. And give away some of that.
The winner of the TV came back for it too, didn't she?
Yes. And so, you know, do that, fall back and assist when asked. And consider all of the skills that you have here. And negotiate, you know, find out who's the negotiator, who can do this, okay? Who's best at securing vendors for the festival? What kind of speakers do you want to have? Do you want to have somebody to do music, entertainment at your event? You know, and just use all of the resources that you have in your group to put those little pieces together, because it does make a difference. Now, here's some processes, number 4, that you've got to expect to coordinate. Okay, you know you got to have hotels, and I heard you talking about that today. And conference centers can be considered, convention centers, resorts, retreat, museums, state homes. You know, just so many places that you can have an event. And often, you know, we don't think about this, but go and sit down at your local convention center and bureau, visitors bureau. They have a person there. Boy, if you go and sit down with that person, they can tell you more than you can think up in a meeting, because they're already familiar with, you know, all the venues. You know, they've been instrumental in putting together events before. And so, you know, a lot of your questions fall off and fall away right then. Heard you talking a little bit earlier about the timeline and when you can get all this done. Well, you're a bit far out, okay? Because just like you said, schedules for events have not been made yet, okay? Schedules for flights for 2018 have not been made yet, okay? So you probably won't be able to do much if you're gonna have an August, September event. You probably won't be able to do much until January, besides talk about it, you know, and do all of your research. Until January, okay? But as soon as it comes, then you're gonna have to jump on it, okay? And other places, you know, like I said, college campuses, you can use those, but there are just so many places. And college campuses, you have to consider holidays, you know, when they have holidays, whether you have to, and you have to do that with convention centers as well, whether you're going to let them do your food or whether you want to provide food. But want to admonish you as much as possible to stay away from having to do all of that, okay? You don't want to do no barbecue. You don't want to be doing that, okay? You want to be where you can serve when your people are here as hostesses, okay? So don't get into the grunt work. That's not what it's about. And if you, like I said, you go back and you seed, you know, you sow your seeds, then you don't have to do that. Recreational activities, I jotted that because when you got folks coming into town, you need to have something for them to do when they come in. Okay, and then we figured out later on at the end that some of our authors would be staying over until Sunday. They wouldn't be leaving Saturday night. It's just, whew, we need to do something with them, okay? And so we ended up having another dinner. So just sort of keep that in mind. Let's look at finding vendors, finding authors. Word of mouth works better than anything else, okay? And use social media. All of us already have authors on our pages because that's what we do. And so promoting your own event, and you will want to secure the featured authors early, and you need features because you gotta have some drawing cards. You gotta have somebody that somebody wants to come and see, okay? And for ours, we've already secured, oh goodness, I was gonna tell you, just quote it right across, it'll come back to me. But we've secured a contemporary fiction author. We have secured a young lady who wrote a book on bullying to do children's work with some children, and we're gonna take our author to the school this time, our children's author, because bullying, you know, that's kind of, and we plan to support that by purchasing some of her books, you know, maybe for a couple of grade levels or whatever, and leaving them with the school after she makes her presentation. So we're going to do that. We've been talking at James Patterson and John Grisham, you know, so you know, we're working at it, but you've got to work at it. And you need to have a drawing card, if possible. Have authors, you know, publishers, book clubs, libraries, and we find everywhere we go that you need to sprinkle in some merchandise vendors, okay? Because everybody doesn't read, okay? And sometimes people will come with people who are not readers and, you know, want to know, well, what else you got? So have some merchandise vendors. And you gotta give some freebies, okay? You gotta give some freebies. We had, we gave free tables to Imagination Library. You know, Rotary does that, and that's an effort to provide children ages birth to 5-year-old with a book, a free book monthly through the Dolly Parton Foundation. So they came and they set up a table and they signed up children. Literacy Volunteers of America, the library. So there are some, you're gonna have to give up some freebies because they're gonna give something back, okay? And you might just say, well, if, you know, what if you're gonna have to give something back, but, so you're gonna have to give some free tables. Everything, you know, won't be paid for. The next thing that I jotted was controlling costs for your event. Make sure you get your event, your agreements in writing, you know, when you work with the convention center or whatever. And if there's some things that don't compute, you know, make sure you ask questions. Don't just let it lay, you know, until you get to the end there. And, you know, take care of that. You need to limit the number of people you have negotiating functions and expending funds, okay? Everybody can't just do that. You need to limit that. And some of the things that I noted that we expended funds for, and you may or may not do that, is have t-shirts for your host committee, souvenir bags and souvenir booklet, banners, and if you buy banners, don't make the mistake I made. put the year on there, 2016, because, you know, like I said, I didn't only intended to do it for one time, but since we're going to do it again, you know, going to have some new banners. Advertise your event and encourage vending authors to help. And this is how we got those 350 readers in that room that day. We talked it up, okay? Social media is all right. It's a useful tool, but people will read, but they're not coming. They read about your event, they'll see you in passing and say, oh, I read what y'all was having down there, you know. It's like, you didn't come, okay? We did a lot of work, legwork. We spoke at Literary Guild, retired teachers, organizations. We went to book clubs, and it didn't make any difference, small, large or small, you know. If it had 3 people, 4 people, it didn't make any difference, but we talked to them. And my husband used to get on to me about this. As a matter of fact, he'd be laughing at me. You know, like if we went somewhere like Dairy Queen, and you see somebody sitting in Dairy Queen reading a book. Hey, here I am. Well, hey, I see you are a reader. You know?
Nothing wrong with that.
And on to tell them about the book event. And then tell them, you know, I'm gonna be looking for you. Okay? And when you see them in there, say, I knew you were coming when, you know, and then if you see them after the event, I was looking for you. You didn't come, but that's all right. You know, because you can get my book at so and so and so, or you can get, you know, some of the people there, you know, or if you end up having something awesome like we didn't know we were gonna have, we ended up with Snake Nation booklet, you know, to distribute and hand out even afterwards. Okay? So you got to talk it up. And this is something that I do and that I encourage authors to do. And I didn't do it the last time, but I'm gonna make postcards to send to my vendors so that they can send them to people that they know in that city. You know, if you're gonna know you're gonna be somewhere, remember who lives there, or check your Facebook page and find out that they live there. Send them a card and tell them, well, I'm gonna be so and so, and you know, come by and get my book or whatever. Your people show up for you, okay? And when they show up for you, they're likely to buy something from somebody else too. Okay, but everybody needs to help advertise. You know, that needs not be left just on the group. Earlier we were talking about events we had attended since the last meeting, and I neglected to tell that a new bookstore opened up in the Chesapeake Square Mall in Virginia. My husband happens to be from that area. Hey, I saw that on Facebook. I sent her a thing. I'm an author. I'm going to be in your city. Can I come by your store and have you here? And she said, sure. And so I got there and I got all set up. And I'm sitting there, and she said, ain't gonna happen like that. You know, I'm sitting there, I got my little banner, my little table and all. She said, ain't gonna happen like that. You got to get up and stroll down this mall. I'm like, about that time we look up, and here come about 5 or 6 children. I'm like, well, hey! And she sat there and watched me for 4 hours, have customers to come, you know. And then, you know, she made some money because, you know, it's consignment, so she made some money, you know. But she found out that I did my work before I went, okay? So I got some extra people to come, but I knew who was coming, and I knew who didn't come. And afterwards, you know, hey, missed you at the mall, but I still got your book, okay? All right, so you have to do a lot of work. You have to talk it up. And then newspaper and television and radio, that's important. You know, getting on those event calendars and boards and doing interviews, and I found that to be most difficult. And I think that the reason I found that to be most difficult is because you got to follow up. And micromanaging like I was doing at that point until that lady took care of me with them door prizes. You know, if I had given that to somebody else, you know, then, you know, it probably would have been even more successful, I should say. So those are things that you have to do. Now, in summary, I just like to say this, that you start with a plan, and you're only doing great. You're there, you know, you're planning, okay? And do your homework. Do your homework, that's important. And a part of your homework is checking out websites for existing or past festivals. And I gave you some examples there, but there are others. There's a neat one in Arizona that I didn't jot. But look at those sites, and that gives you an idea, especially their registration pages, okay, to see what they did and what you want to do and what other activities you might want to engage in. Be methodical and meticulous, you know, do that individually in whatever function you have. And don't assume anything, you know. Like I said earlier, you know, ask questions, talk about it. The most important thing that I think I can share with you today is that you do what you say you're going to do, okay? Yep, do that. Do that as you relate to each other and working together and planning this event, and do it for the people that you invite to come to Tallahassee and participate, okay? If in your registration you say, well, we're gonna have a meal and we're gonna have breakfast and we're gonna have whatever, do that. We went to one and they said they were gonna have a room for the authors with breakfast, you know, whatever. And we got there and had not taken medicine, you know, a whole room full of 100 authors. You know, many of us take medications and all that. We didn't have no room. And, you know, everybody kept scrambling and looking. I know they said that we were going to have that, okay? And had to go out and find some Coke and crackers somewhere, you know, a little bit later to get your energy level up. So do what you tell the people because they are making an investment in this. So do that. And if you do that, I think that you will be truly blessed. And if you desire to continue, you'll be where I am today. And where I am today is I established an awesome partnership with some ladies in Valdosta that I didn't know that I was going to do, okay? Together we have written 2 grants already. We did 2 Georgia Vibrant Communities grants for $5,000 and got those. Together we have written a grant for $200,000 from the National Endowment of the Arts, and we're waiting to hear on that. We are experiencing good community support. And the piece that you were talking about earlier, Monique, yes, about doing it for public safety, that was one of the things that we wrote in the grant, because when we were meeting with our, mayor and city manager, and and a conversation came about the guys out of the prison and illiteracy being a problem. And so that was a piece that we wrote into the grant. And like I said, we didn't do it for personal gain, and we feel like we blessed our community well, because when we finished our May event, we gave, what did we give?
About $20,000?
No, we gave $3,000 something to one of the local libraries. We gave another literacy effort some money, and here we are planning for our next event. And I've got a list of 100 names who wants to come next time, including my tan friend.
That's right.
How about that? You know, and that's awesome, I think, especially for somebody who, well, no, never do that. Thank you so much again for having me today. And I'm going to be there, whatever supports I can give, you know, I will do that. But y'all got, you're on the way, you'll be done.